300 men, against an army that may have numbered in the hundreds of thousands, against the full military might of the largest empire the world had ever seen. The question was not whether they would survive. The question, the one that echoed across centuries, was why they stayed. Why, when retreat was ordered and escape was still possible, did they choose to remain? To understand that choice, we have to return to the very beginning, to the spring of 480 BC, when the fate of Greece itself hung in the balance. By 480 BC, the Persian Empire stretched from the Indus River to the shores of the Aegean Sea. Its king, Xerxes I, had inherited the largest empire the ancient world had known, and he intended to expand it. His father Darius had attempted to conquer Greece 10 years earlier and failed at Marathon. Xerxes would not repeat that failure. For years he prepared, conscripting soldiers from across his vast territories, assembling a force whose size ancient sources placed in the millions, though modern historians estimate a more realistic figure in the hundreds of thousands. In the spring, this army crossed the Hellespont on a bridge of boats and began its march into Greece. The news of the Persian advance reached the Greek city-states swiftly. Greece was not a unified nation. It was a patchwork of independent cities, often rivals, sometimes openly at war with each other. But the threat ahead was existential, and enough of them recognized it. Representatives gathered under what became known as the Hellenic League to plan a collective response. Among the voices shaping the strategy was an Athenian general of sharp tactical instinct who had long anticipated this confrontation. His proposal was clear: meet the Persians at a choke point, hold them on land at a narrow mountain pass in central Greece, while the allied fleet engaged the Persian navy offshore. It was a strategy built not on matching Persian numbers, but on denying them room to use those numbers. Before the Spartans could mobilize, there was the matter of the gods. Spartan custom required consulting the oracle at Delphi before any major military campaign. What came back was not reassurance. The oracle delivered a stark prophecy. Either Sparta's city would fall to the Persians, or it would mourn the death of a king from the line of Heracles. There was no comfortable interpretation. Leonidas was himself descended from that line. Ancient sources suggest he understood what the prophecy likely meant, and that this understanding shaped every decision he made in the months that followed. He chose his 300 not merely as a fighting force, but as men who had already fulfilled their duty to Sparta by fathering sons. Leonidas chose his 300 carefully. Every man selected was a father with living sons, an acknowledgement, if the tradition holds, that these men might not come back. He then marched north from Sparta, gathering allied contingents along the route: Arcadians, Corinthians, Thespians, Thebans, and others. By the time the force reached its destination, it numbered roughly 7,000 men in total. The Spartans were its backbone. Their discipline, their training, and their reputation gave the coalition its psychological weight. But they were 300 men in a force of thousands, and the force they were marching to face numbered in the hundreds of thousands. Thermopylae, whose name in Greek means hot gates, after the sulfur springs nearby, was, in 480 BC, a remarkably narrow coastal passage. On one side, sheer mountain cliffs; on the other, the sea. At its narrowest, the pass was barely wide enough for a cart. Here the Greek force halted. An ancient defensive wall built by the Phocians, long neglected, was found crossing the narrowest section. The Greeks repaired it, reinforced it, and positioned themselves behind it. What they had chosen was not a place to win a battle. It was a place where sheer numbers ceased to matter, where a small, disciplined force could hold a much larger one indefinitely, provided it held its nerve. The Persian army arrived before the pass and halted. Xerxes waited 4 days. Whether this reflected calculated patience or genuine disbelief that the Greeks intended to stand is not entirely clear from ancient sources. He sent an envoy forward with a demand: lay down your arms and submit. It was not an unreasonable offer in Persian imperial terms. Many Greek cities had already done so, and those that submitted were generally absorbed peacefully. Compliance was always an option. The Greeks behind the wall were under no illusions about what refusal meant. They refused. The reply that came back from the Greek position has been recorded in several forms. The most famous version, attributed to the Spartan king, was his response to the Persian demand to hand over their weapons. Come and take them. Whether or not those were his exact words, the message was unambiguous. The Greeks would not yield. Xerxes, according to Herodotus, was furious, insulted by the defiance of what appeared to him a negligible force. He gave the order to advance. What followed would test every assumption the Persian command had made about this engagement. On the first day of fighting, Xerxes sent forward his Median and Scythian infantry, disciplined, experienced soldiers. They entered the narrowed pass and met the Greek phalanx. The result was catastrophic for the attackers. In the confined space of the pass, the longer Greek spears, the overlapping shields of the hoplite formation, and the carefully managed rotation of fresh units gave the defenders an overwhelming tactical advantage. The Persians could not bring their numbers to bear. Those at the front were pressed into combat while thousands behind them could only wait. Wave after wave was driven back with severe casualties. Among the defenders, losses were minimal. The pass held. Growing frustrated, Xerxes committed his elite royal guard, the soldiers known as the Immortals. Their name derived from a system of immediate replacement that kept their number permanently at 10,000, a unit that could not, in theory, be diminished. They entered the pass with greater discipline than those before them. They too were repulsed. The Spartans employed a tactic that the Persians found difficult to counter, a feigned retreat that drew pursuers forward, followed by a sharp turn and devastating counterattack. By nightfall of the first day, the Immortals had failed. Watching from his elevated throne above the plain, Xerxes reportedly rose from his seat in agitation. It was the first clear sign that this was not unfolding as expected. The second day brought more of the same. Xerxes, perhaps calculating that the Greeks must already be exhausted, or that the first day had been an aberration, sent his forces in again. The result was the same. The Greek line held. The Spartans fought in disciplined formation, rotating between forward and rear positions without visible sign of faltering. The pass walls were, in a practical sense, not stone. They were made of men, and those men had been trained since childhood for exactly this kind of warfare. By the end of the second day, the entire Persian force had been denied the pass by a fraction of its size. The stalemate seemed complete. It was not. 2 days of failure against a force that by any conventional calculation should have collapsed within hours. The implications for Xerxes were serious. His army was enormous, but enormity carried its own cost. Feeding and supplying hundreds of thousands of men was a relentless logistical burden. A prolonged stalemate was not acceptable. His commanders had no answer to what the terrain had done to their advantage. The frontal assault had failed repeatedly and decisively. The pass could not be broken from the front. There was no obvious route around it. The Greeks appeared prepared to hold indefinitely. Then someone came to the Persian camp with an offer, and the strategic picture changed entirely. The man was a local from the region of Malice. He knew the mountains. Specifically, he knew of a path, narrow, winding, used by shepherds, that climbed up and over the cliffs above Thermopylae and emerged miles later behind the Greek position. The Greeks had identified this path earlier and had stationed a contingent of Phocian troops at its upper end precisely to guard against a flanking move. The local man came to the Persians most likely in hope of a reward. He guided the Persian commanders to the path and offered to lead the column himself. Herodotus does not treat him with ambiguity. His name became, in the Greek world that followed, a byword for treachery. That night, as the Greek force rested behind the wall at Thermopylae, a large Persian column set out along the mountain path under cover of darkness. Leading it was the commander of the Immortals. The path climbed steeply through oak and fir forest, winding along ridges high above the coastal plain far below. Moving an army through unfamiliar mountain terrain in the dark was neither silent nor simple, but they moved steadily, carefully upward through the night. Below in the pass, the Greek commanders did not yet know they were coming. At dawn, the Persian column emerged from the tree line at the top of the mountain path and found the Phocian guard there. Both sides appear to have been surprised. The Phocians, suddenly confronted with the advance guard of a Persian flanking force in large numbers, had a choice: hold the path at all costs or fall back to a nearby hill and defend their own position. They retreated to the hill. Whether this was a failure of nerve at a critical moment or a reasonable response to an impossible situation, ancient sources do not fully resolve. What mattered was the outcome. The path was now open. The Persian column continued downward toward the coast. The encirclement of the Greek position had begun. The warning reached the Greek camp before full daylight. Scouts and deserters brought word that a Persian force had crossed the mountains and was descending toward the rear. A council was held, or at least a decision was made, quickly. The strategic situation was now beyond recovery. The flanking force would complete its descent within hours. To remain meant encirclement and the destruction of the entire Allied force. For the Allied contingents from across Greece, men from Arcadia, Corinth, and a dozen other cities, the logical course was clear: withdraw south, preserve their forces, and continue the resistance elsewhere. The Spartan king agreed and gave them leave to go. Most went. The bulk of the Allied army, somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 men, withdrew south along the coastal road as dawn broke over the pass. Ancient sources are not entirely consistent about the sequence of these final hours, but the outcome is clear. When daylight came fully, the Greek force at Thermopylae had been reduced from roughly 7,000 men to a few hundred. The 300 Spartans remained in position. A Theban contingent remained as well, though Herodotus suggests their presence in these final hours was not entirely voluntary. And then there were the Thespians. The Thespians deserve particular recognition, and they have not always received it. Their city lay directly in the path of the Persian advance, and they knew it would be among the first to be destroyed. As it was, but the roughly 700 Thespian soldiers who stayed did not remain because their retreat was blocked. According to Herodotus, they refused to leave. They chose, of their own will, to remain and die alongside the Spartans. Their commander, and most of their names are lost to history. The Thebans, by contrast, are said to have been held by force, and when the end came, many surrendered to the Persians and were spared. Leonidas did not wait behind the wall for the end to come to him. On the morning of the third day, he led his remaining force, Spartans and Thespians together, out beyond the Phocian wall and forward into the wider section of the pass. It was a choice to attack rather than defend. Some ancient sources suggest this was a deliberate final offensive, intended to inflict as much damage as possible before the encirclement closed. Whatever the reasoning, the image is stark. A few hundred men advancing into the pass toward an army that stretched for miles as a second Persian force descended through the mountains behind them. The fighting on the third day was, by all accounts, particularly fierce. The Greeks, perhaps no longer constrained by the discipline of a purely defensive holding action, fought with exceptional intensity. Herodotus records that several brothers of Xerxes were killed in this phase of the battle. He also records something more telling, that Xerxes, watching from his elevated position above the pass, rose from his throne 3 times as the fighting unfolded. It is a small detail with large implications. The king of the largest empire in the world, watching a few hundred men inflict casualties among his forces, was visibly unsettled. The Greeks were not simply dying, they were making their deaths as costly as they possibly could. At some point in the forward fighting, the Spartan king was killed. The exact circumstances are not precisely recorded. What is recorded is what happened next. His body fell in the forward zone, and a fierce struggle broke out around it immediately. Spartan military tradition held that the body of a fallen warrior must not be left to the enemy. 4 times, according to Herodotus, the Spartans drove forward and fell back, fighting to protect the remains of their king. They eventually recovered his body. The fighting continued, but the man who had held this force together, who had made the choice to stay when every other choice was available, was gone. Then the Persian flanking force arrived from the rear. The encirclement set in motion the night before was now complete. The remaining Greeks, perhaps 200 to 300, the exact numbers uncertain, fell back from the forward position and retreated to a low hill at the eastern end of the pass. There they made their final stand. They had no realistic prospect of breaking through the Persian lines on either side. There were no reinforcements coming. They gathered in whatever formation they could still maintain, and they held the hill. The Persians, unwilling to absorb further losses in close combat, advanced cautiously. According to Herodotus, the final destruction of the remaining Greeks came by archery, Persian archers firing from multiple positions until the last defenders were overwhelmed. The Greeks fought with spears until they broke, then with swords, then, Herodotus writes, with their hands and teeth. All 300 Spartans died. Most of the 700 Thespians died with them. The Theban contingent surrendered and was spared. The pass at Thermopylae, which had held for 3 days against the largest army the ancient world had assembled, fell before midday on the third day. Xerxes rode forward to survey the aftermath. What he found, the heaped Persian dead, far outnumbering the Greek fallen. The small hill where the last defenders had stood appears to have provoked something beyond strategic frustration. He ordered the body of the Greek commander to be decapitated and the head placed on a stake for public display. This was a deliberate violation of Greek funerary custom, which held the bodies of enemies to be sacred regardless of the outcome of battle. Herodotus notes explicitly that such treatment of a fallen enemy was not standard Persian practice. The act suggests that Xerxes' feelings about what had happened at Thermopylae went beyond the anger of a delayed general. He had won, but the manner of the resistance had left something with him. While events unfolded at Thermopylae, the Greek fleet had been engaged with the Persian navy at Cape Artemisium, just offshore. The fighting there had been inconclusive. Neither side had achieved a decisive result, but when news reached the Greek fleet commanders that the pass had fallen and the land route through central Greece was now open, the strategic calculation shifted immediately. Holding the sea position without the land anchor at the pass made no sense. The fleet withdrew south toward the island of Salamis, near Athens. The combined strategy, hold on land and hold at sea together, had been broken in half. The land half was gone. The Persian army poured through Thermopylae and advanced south through Greece. City after city submitted or was abandoned. Athens itself, home to tens of thousands of citizens, the cultural and political heart of the Greek world, had been largely evacuated on the recommendation of its naval commander, who had argued that the city's true strength lay not in its walls, but in its fleet. In a remarkable collective decision, the Athenians abandoned their homes, their temples, and their city. They crossed to the island of Salamis and watched from the water as the Persians entered Athens and burned the Acropolis. What Xerxes held was rubble. What Athens had preserved was its people and its ships. The decisive confrontation came at Salamis in September of 480 BC. The Greek fleet drew the larger Persian navy into the narrow straits between the island and the mainland, a disposition deliberately arranged to neutralize Persian numerical advantage. In the confined water, Persian vessels could not maneuver effectively. Greek triremes, heavier and better coordinated, broke the Persian formation and inflicted catastrophic losses on the Persian fleet. Xerxes, watching from a throne on the hillside above the straits, saw his naval power destroyed in a single day. Without maritime supply and reinforcement, his army in Greece could not be sustained. He withdrew the bulk of his forces to Asia. The invasion, effectively, was over. In the years after the battles, a monument was raised at Thermopylae, a stone lion marking the place where the Spartan king had fallen, and an epitaph attributed to the poet Simonides of Chios was inscribed at the site. Its words, translated across 25 centuries, have endured in dozens of languages. Go tell the Spartans, stranger passing by, that here, obedient to their laws, we lie. Thermopylae did not save Greece. The final defeat of the Persian land forces came the following year at the Battle of Plataea, but Thermopylae gave Greece something harder to measure. In the months between the pass and the final Greek victory, the story of the men who had chosen to stand and had not broken became the argument for why resistance was still possible. It has remained that argument for a very long time. And that's it. Thank you for watching. The next story is waiting for you right here. Subscribe so you're always the first to know. Thanks for being part of this story. See you in the next one.